Amateur Voltaire, and I want to thank you so much for your question. I thought it might be more fun and a little bit more interactive to reply like this in a video format rather than just typing it out. I also get to show books, which I think might be a bit more interesting than a big wall of text. So before we start, I want again to thank you so much for the question. I absolutely adore books. You can't really see much of my room from this angle, but I have a rather large collection of them, particularly on the French Revolution. And I'm always very, very, very happy to talk about them. So, okay, let's dive in. You asked what are some well-written summaries of the French Revolution. And I am going to be completely honest with you. It's actually quite hard to find a really well-written summary of the French Revolution. Why? Because it's an event that spanned 10 very long and complicated years. That is a massive period to cover. And summarizing it properly, to be completely honest, without oversimplifying, will be a real challenge, no matter how ambitious. Just to give you a sense of scale, in my opinion, one of the most complete histories of the French Revolution ever written is that of Jules Michelet, and that particular one is close to 2,000 pages. It's 4 volumes. I don't know if you can see it, but it's somewhere there in the shelf behind me. So yeah, not exactly what you would consider light reading. That being said, I did my best to find something a bit shorter in my collection, and the shortest book I own in English on the topic is this one. It's The French Revolution by Hilaire Belloc, only 155 pages. So it's a very short book. Is it a good book? No, not really. So Belloc was a Catholic, which in itself is obviously not a problem, but he approaches the revolution very much through a Catholic lens. And that definitely colors the whole narrative. The book itself was written in 1911, and like many books of the era, was lacking in anything resembling scholarly rigor. There are very few annotations, almost no real sources, which, as you can imagine, is truly a red flag. It's short, and that's basically its main strength, but it's also full of oversimplification and misleading causal claims. Belloc does have a central thesis in here, so he's not just narrating the revolution, he is trying to make a point, and the point that he's trying to make is not particularly original. He's saying that the revolution was necessary to correct the excesses of the Ancien Régime, but it ended up being hijacked by radical forces. So this is pretty much the level of nuance that you're going to get. As I said, it's a short book, and it's also available in a public domain, so it's very easy to find, whether in print or online. I got it as a gift, actually, of Amazon. That's its strength, but I wouldn't recommend it, especially not for a beginner. Now, since your friend can read French, we are much better off if we look at French historiography. I have 2 French books to recommend, one that is very short and another one that is a bit more detailed. And honestly, both of them are significantly better than Belloc. So the first one is this one, La Révolution Française expliquée à ma petite fille by Michel Vauvel. And yes, it's literally the French Revolution explained to my granddaughter. And it's very much, it does exactly what it says on the cover. It's written as a dialogue between Vauvel and his granddaughter, and it's following the events of the revolution from its beginnings to the Directory. It's very simple, it's very easy to follow, and honestly, it's surprisingly good. And it's not, I mean, for a book so short, actually, it's surprisingly packed with information as well. Vauvel himself was a serious scholar. He was the former president of the Society of Robespierrist Studies, and I also think he was head of the Institute of the History of the French Revolution at some point. He, however, did have some communist sympathies. So the book, and generally everything you'll read from him, tends to skew a bit left. But this particular book, because it's meant for general audiences and even younger audiences, it tends to be quite balanced. So If there's one thing I can nitpick about it, is that there are really no sources. But in this kind of book format, to be completely honest, I'm not particularly bothered by it. He's not really presenting a thesis. It's just very much narrative history. He's recounting very known events in an accessible way. So nothing particularly controversial. Also, it has a very lovely, let me see if I can find it. It has a very, 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 very lovely sketch of Robespierre that I don't think I've seen before. This one. I don't know if you can see it. If your friend is new to the topic and, as you said, reads French, this book would be my top pick. Now, if they want to go a bit deeper, still accessible, but a bit more comprehensive and more geared towards an adult audience, I would recommend this book, La Révolution Française by Antoine Bouland. In my opinion, it's still quite readable. It came out, I think, in 2023, so it's very recent. And it's part of a series called Vérité et Légende, quite popular actually. Like the Vauvel book, it's structured in a question and answer format, which makes it very digestible. The author tackles popular myths and summarizes complex topics rather clearly, which I really appreciate. I have to admit, I'm a bit biased because I like Bouland. I've read a fair bit of his work, and he's one of those rare historians who gets to the point without being dry, which, in my opinion, is a bit of a gift. So I really, really appreciate his work. So, in terms of short books, I think the French language space gives us much better options. If she really wants to read something that is super short, you can find this on Amazon, but I would really, really steer clear of it. I wouldn't read it, especially not as a first kind of thing. If she wants to learn more about Catholic nuance in the French Revolution, that's a different thing, but not as a beginner study. So now, if your friend is serious about learning more and wants to read in English, then I would recommend this book. And it's not a short book. It's called A New World Begins by Jeremy Popkin, and is, at the moment, in my opinion, the best, most unbiased book currently available in English about the French Revolution. It's thorough. It's also very readable. It's a solid modern work of historiography. So if they are ready to dive into the topic really fully, this is the one to go for in English. And if they want an alternative in French, then this, Nouvelle Histoire de la Révolution Française by Jean-Clément Martin. Now, full transparency, I haven't read it cover to cover. It's long, and honestly, at a certain point, once you've read a lot in this space, you don't need to keep going over the same narrative repeatedly. So these days, I tend to read more specialized books. But I do use this book quite a bit as a reference because it's very, very comprehensive. It's very well written, and it's no secret to anyone who is following this blog that Jean-Clément Martin is one of my personal favorites. So you know that I have a bit of a soft spot for him. So I think that's it. I hope this answered your question. Thanks again for asking. And if you ever want to talk more about Robespierre or the Revolution or the Vendée or weird historical myths, you know where my ask box is. Bye bye.